to another episode of Beer for Breakfast ABV. I am Danielle from The Moog Show on 91X. Normally, I would have my beer drinking partner in crime with me, Paul Segura. However, he is not available today. So I have got the next best thing, Dave Adams from Green Flash Brewing.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks for being available, Dave.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
If it's not for you, I'm just a drunk girl drinking on camera, so I appreciate it.
Well, I'm glad I could be your partner in crime.
And today we are welcoming back Burgeon Beer Company. We have got Matt as well as Derek, co-founders from Burgeon. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
This is exciting. You guys have been great friends of Beer for Breakfast. And Matt, you come on every time, and you usually bring Anthony with you, but I'm so excited you brought Derek with you this time.
Yeah, we decided to step it up this time and bring Derek.
Sick burn on it.
Sorry, Anthony. So, also, just to give a little thing, Matt is also currently the president of the Brewers Guild for San Diego. So, you know, kind of a big deal.
Thank you, yeah.
Kind of a big deal around here.
Very honored to be the president right now. I have a lot of big shoes to fill, but it's been a very fun journey so far.
Awesome. Well, let's dive right in. So we've got the Clever Kiwi, the Nelson Hopped Pilsner right now. Tell me all about this guy right here.
This is what we call around the brewery a brewer's beer. This is a beer we've been wanting to make for quite some time. Inspired by a long-time old beer, Shift from New Belgium, Nelson Pale Lager that they released about a decade ago and was far ahead of the time. It was out in the market and same format, 4 packs of pints, and I feel like the consumer wasn't quite ready, and I hope to God we're finally there because we're launching it, we're going for it. So.
I definitely think so. This is really good, and it's kind of cool because last week we had Kairoa Brewing on, New Zealand brewery here in San Diego, and we tried their New Zealand Pilsner, and I know that Dave has also had it, and so this is two very different beers, but the same style, and I love that.
Thank you. Yeah, we're really excited about this beer. It's kind of that like delicate balance between a light, clean, crisp body and those Nelson hops in there that give you kind of that citrusy, fruity kind of flavor to the beer. It's perfect for right now that it's starting to warm up, except maybe not today. But it's
figure out Mother Nature what you want.
Exactly. I mean, we live in San Diego. We're all kind of hopheads. Everyone loves other IPAs here, but this is that next kind of generation of beer for us, where people can enjoy that nice, beautiful hop presence and still a light, clean, crushable beer.
Yeah, this is a super easy drinking beer. I love the dry hop aroma in it, and I love the delicate balance of the bitterness, that there is a little bit of bitterness right on the front end that is completely gone and wafts away, doesn't have that lingering bite to it that sometimes you see when you dry something out, to 5%, it's got Pilsner yeast in it, and then all of a sudden you end up with the, way more perceivable bitterness, even if it's, 30 IBUs or 40 IBUs. So I think you guys did a great job with balancing the qualities of aroma and bitterness in it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's hard not to go like just crazy with hops, right? That's our natural instinct. It's like, all right, let's load this up. Let's make it just super flavorful and aromatic. But when you do that, you kind of just become an IPL at that point. And so we wanted to have that delicate balance to where you got that aroma and that flavor, but still it wasn't overwhelming.
And I think that this beer covers a lot of beer drinkers. If you're an IPA person, love the hops, love the bitter. You get a little bit of bitter, but it doesn't stick around with you.
Right.
Whereas like if you're into hazies, this could help you out also, because with the haze craze, it takes away a little bit of that bitter, I think, and balances out. And if you're a person who, I really want to get with IPAs, I wish I had the palate that everybody seems to love these beers, I think that this is your graduation beer.
Yeah.
I think this helps you get to that point.
Yeah, it's kind of like that gateway beer. Get you into other beers.
Beer.
Yeah, and I think to harken back to the New Belgium reference too, is it was named Shift, and at least I always like to look at our product mix and what the employees are drinking. What are the brewers drinking? What are the tasting room employees drinking? What is the kitchen staff drinking? And I'm not sure if that's why Shift was named Shift or not.
I'm assuming
but
so, yeah.
I have to imagine that you guys are drinking some Shift beers of this.
All the time.
Too much. I would be.
Yeah.
And I also really like, you guys do it, and I've noticed that some other breweries are doing, putting what the actual hop varietal and malt varietal is on the can. I think that as beer drinkers, as you're trying to figure out what you like, it's good to know what is in it.
Absolutely. When you go to a restaurant, you want to know what you're eating, right? That's kind of our thought behind this, is that when you go grab a beer, you can tell exactly what's in it. You can it kind of educates the consumer as well, because they know what they're tasting, and then they can relate that to other beers when they want to go out and seek something that they like.
Totally. just before we started, one of you two told me that New Zealand is not on a bunch of maps. Was that you?
Yes.
Just only because I find this little tidbit of information fascinating. Can you please share with everybody this little piece of information?
Yes, John Oliver on Last Week Tonight did an entire segment dedicated to New Zealand literally not being on thousands of printed maps. And so New Zealand began a campaign to make their awareness at a level to where people that made maps would actually put their country on a map. Check it out on YouTube. Hilarious. Best wishes to New Zealand. We love your hops. Hopefully you can get on more
Yes.
maps.
We don't want them on the map. We don't want to know where the hops are coming from. They want them on
We
the
want
map.
your hops. We don't want you. So moving on to our next beer, the Trivana. You know, totally not trying to like blow smoke up your ass because you know me and I would never do that.
Yeah, thank you.
This has turned into a beer that I remember when you guys brought on Trivana. I remember,
Yeah.
you know,
First
2.5
time.
years ago when you brought on Trivana, I remember thinking, oh, this is a pretty good beer. And it's turned into a beer now that it is my go-to when I see it like out in the wild. If
you.
there isn't something I'm already hankering for and I see it on, I'm like, well, Trivana it is.
Yeah.
I'm having Trivana because I always know that it is going to taste like this. And you are so consistent when you make this, Derek, you and Anthony, that you guys have it down. So
We've we've pushed for this. You know, when it first came out, we almost knew it right away in the first batch that we wanted this to be a core beer. And surprisingly, we've been docked in a lot of competitions on it, entering IPA because they say it's not bitter enough. But we've always brewed our IPAs that way. And you know, we also see the trend of, you know, as judges probably turn over, we get younger judges coming in, and more beer styles start to turn in a less bitter manner. It'll finally fall in, you know, a good IPA rating. But we actually just took a gold medal for this in the strong pale category. So it's kind of in between the two. Really.
Okay. You've judged a few beer competitions in your time.
Yeah.
What would you judge this as? How would you judge it?
Well, it's hard, you know, like Derek mentioned, it's always difficult entering beers into competition because the thing that a lot of consumers don't know is that it's not about what the best beer is, it's about what the best beer that fits the exact style guidelines of that particular category. So it's really about us as brewers and breweries looking at the categories and saying, yes, my characteristics, you know, qualitative and quantitative line up with this reading of the style, so I'm going to enter it into that category. I mean, obviously, they label that as an IPA, but entered it into a strong pale category because it fit better in there probably because of the statistics of the beer. And it's difficult to do that, you know? So really you're judging, you're looking at a sheet of paper going, yes, it has about that much bitterness. Yes, it has that dry hop characteristic. So it's not just tasting beer and going like, yum, that's great.
Hey, what's
You
wrong
know,
with
it's-
that? That's what I do.
No, and that's cool as consumers, but it's important to know that, you know, when you see medals on beers, it means not only is it a good beer, but it's probably more importantly a great example of the style that it fit into.
It checked off all the boxes.
And which, by the way, as a commercial brewery, is super hard to do. To take a beer that you brewed because you liked and you thought was delicious, and then now you're trying to shoehorn it into a category because we often don't brew beers that fit into a category. We brew beers that we think are delicious. And sometimes they're in between categories, and then you end up losing out on awards because of it, even though it's a super delicious.
Well, and when it comes to, you know, judging, not to like totally tailspin on judging, but how do you, as brewers, how do you stay innovative with different beers and styles if it doesn't, quote unquote, check all those boxes?
It's kind of tough. The BA does a good job of keeping up with new styles. There's some different judging regimens that are a little bit more antiquated, but that's not to say that they're not great because they judge true to the way the style's been brewed for so many years. And when we started, we always said that our beer is kind of brewed to taste, not to style. We want what the people are going to like. We want what we're going to like. And Trivana is, I think, probably the best example of that.
Yeah, and then if it fits in a category, great. If not, oh well. You know.
Yeah.
We still like to drink it.
Because winning awards is much less important than making a beer that you're proud of and you
Absolutely.
can get behind and think is delicious.
So, Matt, what's going on with Burgeon? What's going on in the brewery right now? I saw some cool stuff that you guys are planting trees. What's going on?
So we just, this year we partner with the National Forest Foundation, pledged to plant 25,000 trees in our national forest, which we're ecstatic about. we really wanted to. We've been doing a lot of local charities, but we really wanted to partner with the charity this year to make a big impact. So we partnered with them this year. We've already planted, I think, 6,500 trees or something like that.
Just shy of that. Yeah.
So we're well on our way. We're going to do it's called Reclaim the Wild, and for every pint and every single can, it plants a tree. So we're going to keep doing that beer throughout the year and try and get up to that 25,000 mark to really
That's
get back.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Good
thank
on
you.
you guys.
Thank you.
It's so cool when, breweries get involved in stuff. Green Flash Brewing, you guys are involved in our Inspired by Music series with 91X and, giving money to educators in San Diego who want to use music in their curriculum. So I think that it's really great when breweries are able to give back to the community as well as, other than just giving us delicious beer to drink.
Yeah, exactly. It's a win-win when you can drink beer and give back at the same time. We also have 2 more tanks showing up next week and a big refrigerated box truck as well for deliveries. So
look
we're
at
trying
you
to
guys.
up production and just make the right moves as we
Yeah.
grow.
Invest in distribution. So, we got a lot going on this year.
Yeah, to say the least. Yeah.
That's really cool. Where are the trees being planted?
So they planted 5,000 of them up in where the campfire just went through,
Okay.
up in Northern California, and the rest are all in national parks around the nation.
That's awesome.
That's super rad. If you have not been to the tasting room in Carlsbad, it's actually really cool. There is a giant tree in the tasting room right when you go and order your drink. The bar, everything. It's even down to the signs that you guys put the beers on are from pieces of tree. So it's just like a really cool place to go into. It's also one of those, like, if you're sitting there, because it is from repurposed trees, you just gotta make sure to look where you put in your glass, because you might put it in like a little notch of the tree,
It'll tap in your
because
lap,
this is
yeah.
legitimately repurposed tree.
Exactly. That's just a beer luge, actually.
I asked that once and was told no.
Oh, we tell the bartenders to say that so everyone doesn't.
Only after hours.
Yeah, exactly.
Dump them into the tree. I always hate when the squirrels come out and take my beer.
Yeah, they're thirsty. They got to drink
Super
too.
annoying.
Well, at that point,
big squirrel.
I go up to Lucia and I'm like, the squirrel that drank my beer, Lucia, I need another beer. Help.
They've never heard that one before.
Never. So getting into our last beer here, the Juice Press. What is this?
This one is our new hazy IPA. This is becoming one of our new core beers, which we're ecstatic about. It's brewed with Galaxy, Vic Secret, Citra, and Simcoe. It's going to be really, really tropical, really fruity. You're going to get pineapple, some tropical melon in there. Really easy drinking, smooth, and still clean and crisp on the very end.
So this is one of my favorite questions to ask brewers, because since I started doing beer for breakfast, the haze craze came on in this past 3 years that I've been doing it. And when the haze craze started, one of my favorite questions was to ask, like, what do you think about it? And a lot of brewers were hesitant to get behind it. And we've now seen that it is a lucrative beer style. It is very, very much enjoyed. Was it difficult for you to get on with doing the hazy IPA?
Not really. We jumped on pretty quick. I think it was a couple months after we opened.
Yeah, we were
really
one
got
of the first breweries in San Diego to do a hazy IPA when we opened. We did it, I think, like 3 months after we opened.
So you embraced it right away.
Well, it was just timing, really. I mean, we saw what was going on, and we weren't shy to make it. It definitely a learning curve from doing 10 years of R&D of West Coast IPA and then transitioning to this and trying to figure it out in 6 months. It's not easy, but we feel like we've got a good grasp on it now. We've nailed down our processes and how we do it, and it's pretty different from how we're brewing on West Coast. It's we've also tweaked a little bit. We don't really, everyone really brews them different. When we've found our niche, how we like to drink them and how we like to make them. So.
Yeah, a lot of people disliked them originally, but in our opinion, it's brewed with the same 4 ingredients that makes all beer. There's no we're not throwing a bunch of adjuncts in there. We're not throwing a bunch of fruit in there. It's brewed with hops, malt, yeast, and water.
Yeah.
And it's one of those beer styles that has actually really gotten a lot of people that weren't beer drinkers into drinking beer.
Or IPA drinkers, especially, yeah.
Exactly. And if we can get more people to drink craft beer, why not? So
I would also say you could roll around with this in a glass and no one would say anything because it looks like pineapple juice.
yeah, it kind of tastes like it too. Yeah.
Pineapple juice.
Just like rolling around like, don't mind me. This is just my juice press. I'm not lying.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm not lying.
It's a true story. Yeah, people like it. It's super fruity, juicy, tropical, and it's easy to drink. It's super smooth, low bitterness, like we said. So I think that it's obviously here to stay.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great beer to keep around for most people.
Dave, what's your opinion on hazies?
I mean, I love the characteristics of hazies, but as we've talked about before, I guess I'd always just get frustrated with the conflation of the appearance of the beer to
Correct.
the
Yeah,
qualitative
me too.
values
Yep,
of the
yep.
beer.
Absolutely.
Is that it can look like this for sure. It can be crystal clear, but the characteristic that at least for me, the characteristic is super low bitterness, tons and tons of dry hop, lots of beautiful hop aroma, and especially newer hops that have tropical fruit characteristics to it. To me, that's what makes a hazy IPA like itself. Because if you made it like this with 100 IBUs and 7%,
Doesn't follow the
it's
style.
hazy, right? But it doesn't follow that
Yeah.
style. So to me, it's more important that, yes, it comes with a cloudy appearance as well. And certainly there's yeast and water management that goes along with it. But that, to me, is what makes the category of awesome, fun beer to drink. Like, I love drinking low bitterness, super high dry hop beers. I mean, I always talk to people about, especially like home brewers, and they go, you have any advice on what I should make or how I should make it or whatever? And I just say I've never had a beer that I've said, if it only had a little bit less dry hop, it would be so much better. So I'm like, just dry hop the shit out of it and make it yummy,
So would you say that maybe saying hazy IPA, is not the correct term for it? Because as you're saying, it can be totally crystal clear, but still follow those guidelines.
Yeah.
I think it's a generic term. It's a simplified term because there are a lot of different names. Some people call it New England. Some people call it juicy. Some people call it hazy.
Call it, yeah.
And it also-
Foggy or whatever you want to call it.
It also
Murky,
doesn't matter
it's
though,
everything.
like you said. I mean, if it's getting people to drink beer that weren't drinking it previously, if
Yeah.
it's getting people into IPAs that weren't drinking them previously, and they're seeing how delicious the aromas are from these big dry hop beers, and if we can get them in by using a lot lower bitterness than has previously been used in IPAs, that's awesome. And I don't think it's the consumer's job to have the correct definition. I
Right.
mean, it's just what you like. If you think hazy IPA is what you like, that's awesome, and we should all make the beers that consumers demand. So I don't really care what the consumers say. I think we can have a conversation how brewers, feel about the specific traits and characteristics and semantics of the definitions, but that doesn't really matter when somebody's buying a beer in a tasting room or off the shelf.
Those are GABF conversations.
Yeah, so it's pointless for it's just like an insider conversation that nobody cares about. It's really just, hey, I drink this and it's delicious, and that's what I care about. And to me, that's a hazy IPA. Then rad, you should drink the hell out of hazy IPAs, and we're glad that you found a beer that you liked. I mean, that's awesome.
No, this is a great beer, and I think that the three beers that you guys brought on are a great representation of exactly what you get when you go to Bergen Beer Company. So, looking to the future, what do we have to look forward to coming from Bergen?
Ooh.
Are we allowed to say anything?
We can say some things.
Is there anything you're allowed to talk about yet?
We've got a full schedule of collaborations throughout the year.
Yeah, a lot of big
No surprise
collaborations.
there.
Yeah.
We continue our friendly relationships, and
We got a lot of growth planned for the brewery. Like I said, the tank's coming in. We have that big refrigerated box truck, which is going to up our distribution a lot. We're probably going to look for a tasting room here soon.
Nice.
That'll be the next step. But yeah,
we
a lot of things in
we
store.
welcome you down here.
we're coming
Yeah.
south.
You know.
I mean, it's not.
We
Realistically, it's
won't-
hard. We've been looking for a while, but it's hard. It's hard.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure it's difficult to find another spot to go in because you want to go into a somewhat established area, but you don't want to go where it's so overly concentrated
Absolutely,
that
yeah.
you're going to get lost in the shuffle of the beer scene. quote
Yeah,
unquote.
and we're not in a rush either way. We want to make the right choice. We want to be where people want the beer. So we're taking our time. We're making sure that we're making the right decision on that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Matt, Derek, thank you so much for coming on Beer for Breakfast.
Yeah.
Super, super appreciate it.
Thanks for having us on the show.
Thank you.
Of course. I can't wait to see what the future is of Bergen. I think that you guys have been, just like your name says, you have been growing it so organically, just so well. I think that we will see a lot of Bergen to come in the years.
We hope so.
Thank you guys so much. Dave, thank you for being available to come hang out with me today.
No problem. And yeah, thanks to you guys making awesome beers. I think you're doing it the right way, and they're delicious. I haven't had a bad beer from you guys ever. I think you guys make super rad beers. So keep on rocking.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
Yes. And thank you for joining us for another Beer for Breakfast ABV. Remember, every Friday morning we've got Beer for Breakfast at 9:10 with the Moog Show. So join us and cheers to independently owned craft beer.
91X.